Howdy. Welcome back to One Rental at a Time. I'm going to take charge of this channel for a minute. We're going to flip the tables. I was doing some research to make a video the other day, and I wanted to talk about, with the historical data from Michael Zuber's 52-year spreadsheet, how when we have a crash, it's going to be transactions, but prices can stay the same or increase. And I thought I could spend a week researching this video, or I can go to the guy who knows stuff. So I'm going to try to play devil's advocate, Mike, but can you explain how when transactions crash, what would cause it? And then why would prices either stay the same or continue to go up?
Yeah, this is something I feel very passionately about, which means I have conviction, but it also, based on the feedback I've gotten from the audience, I'm not clearly communicating it. So I'm glad somebody's going to push back, ask, because maybe I'm missing something. So let's go back to why. So first and foremost, I believe we're in a rising rate environment. I don't think there's any question. I think rates are going up and I don't think they're done. I think the market fundamentally adjusts at 5 and it really changes at 6% 30-year money. And we're almost there. So, okay, what does that really mean? Well, I believe interest rates roughly doubling, because they were 2.7% at the bottom and we're going to 6% at least, is going to cause demand destruction, which most people get. Most people out there say, oh, mortgage rates are up, I can't afford, and thus I can't buy. Most people get that. But what most people don't understand is I don't only think demand destruction is coming, I think supply destruction is coming. That's the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize. And again, the reason I say this is because supply demand is undefeated. You not only need to have a want, but a need and the ability to pay, but you also have to have the supply. So let's talk about supply and why I think it gets destroyed at a 6% mortgage. Does that seem like a good place to start?
It does. And I really like how you said interest rates are up, I can't afford to buy. In the example we talked about over the last week of an offer I made, some people are realizing interest rates are up, I can't afford to sell.
Exactly. And here's the deal, right? Everybody knows, or if you follow my channel, I study the consumer. Why is that? First and foremost, the consumer in most markets is my number one competitor. I buy residential real estate. 67, 68% of purchases are owner-occupied. They are my competitor. They were kicking my ass the last couple of years because they could pay more, less down, all that stuff. But they're also my tenants, right? Consumers are my tenants. And we've seen some rent increases and all of that. So I study the consumer because it has the most impact on my business. Here's the deal. Something I have learned about consumers. Most people don't like to live in their car. I think most people understand that. The reason we're going to have supply destruction, and this is 100% because of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve kept interest rates so low, they bought $9 trillion of mortgage-backed securities, driving rates lower. They own 28% of all mortgages originated in the last 2 years. It is 100% their fault the next 5 years. Mom and dad now have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with a 2 on it. Their payments don't adjust for 30 years. Mom and dad buy first-time home. They buy whatever they want, 5, 6, 7 years, which is the normal time to move. Historical average is between 5 and 7 years. You move. They now are going to be stuck. I believe most people will not make financial decisions that hurt them if they can avoid it. They're going to be looking at this payment. We're going to make up a number of $1,200 for whatever home they bought. 5 to 7 years from now, when they are looking to move, they're going to be staring at a payment that is probably double, because the house will be more expensive and the interest rate will be double, or heaven forbid, triple what they have today. And they're going to look at this house going, honey, this house ain't that bad. Yes, I know we have a lot of equity. Maybe we'll go get a HELOC or a second so we can add on a master suite or something. But people are not going to move. The move up buyer is stuck. And when the move up buyer doesn't sell, Dion, that's 2 transactions. That's at least 2 transactions that never happen because they sell one and they buy one. And usually the person they buy one sells one and buys one. We're going to see a whole cascading of transactions that never happen because that first-time home buyer is not going to injure themselves. We are not only going to have demand destruction, which everybody gets, we are going to have surprising supply destruction because people will go, I need to live somewhere and my place is not that bad. They are going to have more disposable income staying put. They can buy a second car. They can do vacations because their payments are going to be lower than rent and substantially lower than a mortgage payment. Because again, video number 1, wage inflation is not done. The Federal Reserve gave you a lifetime gift. They gave you 30-year money, sub 3% in a 7, 8, 9% inflation environment. You have negative 6% interest. It is an amazing gift that frankly should have never happened, but it did. And now we have to pay the price.
One of the things that you touched on that I don't think I had actually thought of before, interest rates are going up. 30-year fixed rate debt becomes the asset. The family that has the 2% or the 3% loan on their property isn't going to want to sell. Most apartment complexes, most 5+ units are on commercial loans, which have an adjustable rate, a loan reevaluation period, or a 5, 7, or 10. At some point, we're going to be hitting the end of their adjustment period, especially if they bought in 14 or 15, we're there now. With that rate increase, they've got a couple of options. Give it to the bank. Try to sell it because their values on apartments might not be there, or raise rents. Rents are going up in all kinds of ways. Wage inflation is going to impact rents. We talked about that earlier, but as those adjustable rates hit and the rents go up, the investors that have rental properties where they have, we don't use net operating income for 4 units or less, but their cash flow will increase because as rents go up in apartments, area average rents set the rents.
Rents are going to go up. Again, the Federal Reserve gave you a gift. If you were lucky enough to have a 2 point whatever, or even a 3 point something loan, you have a gift that you probably never should have gotten, but you got it anyways. Your housing expense is fixed at a stupid negative, basically negative real rate. Yes, it's a nominal rate of 3%, but it's negative in real terms because inflation is higher. And you're not going anywhere. You are frozen in place. This is almost like rent control. Rent control works in the beginning, but after people age out and have kids and kids move out, they don't move because, they had a 3-bedroom because they had 4 kids, but now the kids are out. The mom still lives there. It's just as the Fed gave you a gift. Now you're frozen. You're going to enjoy it because you can have a second car because your wages went up. But again, rents are going to, it's just, we could have 5 years of less transactions. It's going to be years before this gets cured. Because again, it's not only demand destruction, but again, people don't get it. At least in my view, it is hugely destructive of supply.
So this is a question.
Yeah.
In a time when there are less transactions, does that mean that lenders are more likely to add fees to try to survive because they don't have the transactions to generate the income?
I don't know that they add fees, but what they will do, and you're already seeing it, folks, people don't realize there's a real estate market and a lending market. Most of you look at the real estate market, you need to follow the lending market. Lending drives the bus. So what you're going to see is lenders create more incentives. And we've already seen banks like Matt the Mortgage Guy would talk about start to do bank statement and very non-QM like loans. That's an example of how starved they are. But here's the deal. I firmly believe what we are going to see created in the next 24 months or less is second mortgages. Second mortgages were very popular when I started. I wrote about them in my book. It's how I got property 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is because I put less down because I had a second. Then they disappeared because a second is a lot more risky. What we're going to have is we're going to have people that will never refi because they have a 2.7 and they're sitting on $200,000 in equity. It won't matter. They're not touching the biggest debt of their life. But if you go to them and say, hey, you know what? I'll give you a 50K second at 9%. They're going to go, okay. So what's going to happen is banks will create new programs, new products. It will be like the government creating a 40-year mortgage, which is absolutely coming eventually. Banks will create programs that they don't currently have because they're starving.
So what does an investor do in a period where there are less transactions?
Well, the reality is their job doesn't change. But what does change is their job gets easier. I believe an investor's job, and I teach it in my course. It's the only thing I teach. Their only job is to find good or great deals. It starts with learning average. So you should only be writing great offers. So your job doesn't change. What does change is it's easier, because what happens with less transactions is the ones that are selling have to sell. Think about that. What has been the hardest thing to find the last 2 years? Motivated seller. You're going to be able to find out who's motivated and who's not. The people that are not will list and say, hey, if I get 1.3, I'll sell. If I list at 1.3 and have no takers, I'll let it run for 90 days and I'll take it off the market. The people that need to sell, hey, I'll list it for 1.3, no offers. I'll lower the price. I'll lower the price. Oh, fine. I'll take it from the only offer I got. I'll take 1.1. Our job's to hunt great deals. It is easier to find motivated sellers when there's less noise. And also we'll be able to be more creative. Seller financing, subject to buying junk. Because again, owner occupants are going to have a harder time. It's higher rates. It is going to become easier in a less transaction environment because the proportion of must sell will go higher. Again, it's never, ever easy. It's just easier, if that makes sense.
It does. And I like the idea that as an investor, your job doesn't change. Do the work every day, keep looking for the deals. Don't chase the deals as time passes. Don't feel I haven't gotten one in a while. I better just start making stupid offers and lose money. Just stay consistent. Watch what's happening with rents. Pay attention to rates. Try to estimate by the time you lock a loan, where will the rates be, especially when they're talking about 0.5 point increases.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Again, our jobs as investors never change. Good market, bad market. We only do great deals. We only get 30-year money. We cash flow day one. We don't bet on appreciation. All of these things, I've believed since day one. The last couple of years, the market bailed a lot of bad investors out. There's going to be a lot of investors. Sir, a lot of you are doing bad deals today that don't cash flow and you're betting on appreciation. You're going to be one of those forced sellers that I try to buy from. It's okay. Bad decisions should be punished, and many of you will. And lots of people in syndications are going to get crushed because of that debt restructure. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, I agree 100% on the syndications. Once you make a YouTube channel and you talk clearly about your numbers and people realize you are an accredited investor, you start getting all kinds of email offers of stupid deals. Also, same thing with off-market deals. Yeah. I get an email, I've got these 5 properties off market. And I'm like, well, they're off market because you'd be embarrassed to put that price on the MLS. It's too high. And so syndications are going to run into the same problem because they're projecting rent increases in the next few years like we had in the last few years.
I saw a syndication, I think it was Friday evening. Their debt structure guaranteed they were going to lose. They had 12 months to do at least a 25% value add to a building where it was occupied. Though that doesn't work. I had to redo a fourplex one time and I couldn't get it done that fast because you got to give notice 60 days in my state. Then they may fight. It's just like, I'm like, and oh, by the way, rates are up, cap rates are it's bad deals.
90 days to get your windows.
It's just, anyways. So that's why I confidently believe transactions are going to crash. I think that's already happening. The numbers will start showing over the next couple of months, but I don't think price goes down, and that drives people crazy. I think prices best case are flat, and I do think they trend up. They don't go up 20%. Let's be clear. It's not going up 20%, but they're not going negative, and that does drive people. That I think it disappoints people. I talk about a 50% crash in transactions, peak to trough, which has happened before, and people want prices to go down. And I don't have good news for you. I don't see it.
I don't either. The longer you wait, the more you're going to pay.
Yeah, one way or the other. So, Dion, thank you for doing this. Thank you for playing devil's advocate. I appreciate you. Where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. My live streams are Tuesday afternoons, 4 p.m.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Ciao.